You guys need to sit down. Are you sitting? Okay, great. Now stand the fuck up. Now sit back down again. Now stand up because y'all ain't ready for this one. Today we are doing a rundown of Netflix's newest South Korean film, Call. You guys, the synopsis Netflix gave this film does not do it justice because so much of the film caught me off guard. Warning, spoilers all over this motherfucker, so buckle up. The film opens with a girl named Seo-yoon traveling to rural Korea to visit her estranged mother. She gets picked up by the local strawberry farmer who gives her a ride to her childhood home. Because she lost her phone on the train ride there, she's forced to use a decade-old phone she found in some boxes lying around the house. After she sets up the phone, she receives a phone call from a woman screaming, saying her mother is trying to kill her. With a little digging and with some help from the strawberry farmer, she figures out the person on the phone is a woman named Young-suk, who lived in her house in the 90s. Young-suk calls a few more times thinking it's her friend's deli from down the block, and after some time, Seo-yoon manages to convince Young-suk that she's actually living in the same house as her, but in the future, by telling her about a plane crash that happened that very week. Eventually, both girls spark up a friendship, and Young-suk begins leaving her little presents that she finds in the future. The girls become increasingly close and begin sharing personal information about each other. Young-suk reveals that she is orphaned and lives with her adopted stepmother, who's a shaman and a complete psycho, while Seo-yoon reveals that she lost her father in a fire a few years ago and blames her mother, hence the estrangement. Now, this is where shit gets spicy. In the past, a young Seo-yoon and her parents show up to the house looking to buy it, because that's her childhood home. And homegirl gets to meet a young version of the girl she's been on the phone with this whole time. But then a light bulb goes off, and they start to wonder if Young-suk can prevent the father's death, because she's right there, and she knows what's going to happen. So she tracks them down after they leave and successfully prevents the death of Seo-yoon's father. Immediately, reality on Seo-yoon's side completely changes. The house is no longer run down, her father is alive, and both her parents are living together happy in the same house, which is now their family home. Fast forward. Seo-yoon searches the internet and finds out that Young-suk is killed by her mother during an exorcism practically that very night. So the next time they get on the phone, Seo-yoon is able to warn her, and because of this, Young-suk is able to turn the tables on her mother and kill her instead. Now free from her mother, Young-suk's true colors start showing and she starts killing motherfuckers on a whim. One of which is the strawberry farmer, and that's how my girl in the future finds out, because the strawberry man was eating dinner with them 5 minutes prior, and when she goes back downstairs, neither of her parents could remember who he was. So of course, she confronts the bitch, and she says, I know what you did, because I read online, and it says that you were the one that got arrested for the murder of the strawberry man and several other people, and you get life in prison because of it. Young-suk completely loses her shit and starts threatening her to tell her how the police catches her, and this bitch deadass says no and disconnects the phone. Seriously? How stupid can you be? She literally brought your dad back into this world. What the hell do you think is stopping her from taking him back the fuck out? And that's exactly what she did. Seo-yoon's younger self and her father shows up literally the next day to finalize the sale of the house, and Young-suk butchers him on the spot. Bro didn't even stand a chance. After he dies, the dad in present day disappears right before her eyes in the saddest, most beautiful scene I've ever seen. You guys, it was so sad, but so cute. She runs back to the house, which looks even worse than it did before, and sees a message on the floor from Young-suk that she wrote in the past saying, answer the damn phone. She realizes what happened, and eventually my girl comes correct after finding out that Young-suk is holding her younger self captive in the past. After some back and forth, she eventually steals some documents from the police station and finally tells her the cops catches her because they found a knife she used to kill the strawberry farmer, which had her fingerprints on it. Young-suk tracks down the knife because she initially threw it away and then burns the evidence, eliminating any chance of her getting caught. Reality changes again, and the house is now owned by an older Young-suk who has continued non-stop as a serial killer. Still in the house, Seo-yoon tries to find the phone because the police documents say her mother from the past visits the house with a police officer looking for her and the dad, and eventually uses the phone to make a phone call. When the mom uses the phone, present-day Seo-yoon answers it and warns her, which in turn causes Young-suk to murder the cop and attempt to kill the mom. Skip to present day, and older Young-suk and Seo-yoon are also in a battle of their own. The fight goes on for a few minutes, and eventually the mom succeeds in rescuing a young Seo-yoon by throwing herself and Young-suk off the balcony, possibly killing them both. Present-day Young-suk disappears and Seo-yoon is now safe. She runs to her father's grave, trying to see if her mother's alive or not by checking if there's a grave for her mother's by her father's. Surprise, surprise, her mother shows up and she is alive and well. She still has scars from the fight, but she's alive. Seo-yoon hugs her and they walk away into the sunset. The credits start to roll in, but then they do some Marvel shit, and after a few seconds, we get a post-credit scene of present-day Young-suk on the phone with her younger self warning her that she might get killed because the mom and the cop are about to show up. She then proceeds to tell her to keep the phone on hand because that's the only way to change things if shit goes south. The scene then cuts to Young-suk from the past waking up from the fall, revealing that she actually survived that shit. So, as Seo-yoon and her mom are walking back from their father's grave, the mom fucking disappears and Seo-yoon is transported to this new reality where she's in the basement of the house tied up with a sheet over her head, being held captive, and the movie just cuts to black and you're sitting there screaming, what the fuck just happened? What just happened? What just happened? Okay, so here's my take on this fucked up ending. Based on my understanding, Seo-yoon and Young-suk's timelines are running in a linear direction at the exact same time. And because of this, Young-suk was never caught. She held on to the phone all these years, so after she burns the knife and changes the future, inevitably the next time her past self uses the phone, which was shortly after kidnapping a young Seo-yoon, she was only going to get a hold of her older self. Which is how the old Young-suk was able to warn her younger self about the mom and what could possibly happen, and giving her a contingency plan in case shit goes south, which we later find out is her tracking down Seo-yoon, killing her mom, and kidnapping Seo-yoon again. And that's why the last scene of the movie is the mom disappearing and Seo-yoon waking up to this new reality tied up in the basement of the house. That ending really messed me up. I respect movies that don't always give the audience a happy ending. This movie exceeded my expectations and then some. It was fresh, it was new, everything made sense down to the directing choices, the acting choices, the cinematography, the writing. If you do anything this New Year's, watch this masterpiece. 8 out of 10. Out of 10! Yes! Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I will be pumping out videos as soon as I can. Happy holidays, guys.